I've been asked to be the bad cop, the timekeeper, and the conversation facilitator. And our hope was, in moving the conversation along, that Kendall Harmon, I think, would begin to address the next topic we had in mind, which Bishop Lawrence has referred to as spin, but which I think Kendall has found a better term for, which is truth in community.
No, let me just stand. Good morning. Welcome to South Carolina, Presiding Bishop Jeffrey Shorey, and thanks for being here. Just two caveats at the outset. One is I want to try to model difference of ideas with civility and respect. That's what we're trying to do this morning. So if the differences are sharp, it's not intended to reflect any sharp disrespect, either for you or for your office. That's the goal. And the second thing I want to say is I'm going to use we language. We think, but I'm acutely conscious, speaking for a considerable minority in the Episcopal Church, that there's a minority in this diocese also. And so I don't want to mislead you. I do not speak for everyone even here. This is not a monolithic diocese. No diocese is. And we have I would say, a substantial consensus, but not unanimity. So I just want to be clear about that. And I chose the topic of truth in community, and essentially what I want to try to say is simply this. We believe that we're in a family which is telling a narrative story that we find false. In other words, we do not hear the truth about our own experience, our own situation, our own analysis of what's happened. And I want to give some examples. The first thing I want to say is that we don't recognize on a regular basis our beliefs correctly articulated by the leadership of this church. This is a quote from you. Of course, it's risky quoting you in the press because it may be a misquote, and you can speak to that. This is from the Burlington paper when you visited the Diocese of Vermont in early November. Obviously, a handful of our church leaders are still upset and would like to see the church never ordain and never baptize a gay or lesbian person. Now, that was your articulation based on that paper report. You can speak to the accuracy of it. What I need you to know is that is a profoundly untrue and indeed offensive caricature of what we believe. We have gay and lesbian people in this diocese. We have gay and lesbian people in our parishes. We have gay and lesbian people on staff. I won't name the parish, but I can name one parish where someone served very well on staff. So that is not what we believe. That is not our position, nor has it ever been our position. So, and this is not unique to you. I'm just choosing this quote because you came, and I wanted to give that as an example. So the first thing I want to say is we don't recognize our beliefs. The second thing, which Mark Lawrence already alluded to, is we don't recognize our numbers. There's a sort of a systemic attempt on the part of the national leadership to minimize the considerable turmoil in which we find ourselves. And there are various ways that this is done, but essentially the way it's done is you reduce it to entire parishes that are left, and then you say it's only a few congregations. So again, I'm just going to choose a representative quote. In an interview, Presiding Bishop Catherine Jefferts Shorey said the congregations who had gotten, quote, a lot of attention and been very noisy accounted for less than 1% of the total country's number of parishes, which he put at 7,500. So the idea is there are these very few disgruntled people, and it's really a shame, and you know that they're going to get over it, but it's really just a tiny minority of people. And what I need you to know is that's not true. it's a profound distortion of the reality on the ground in our church. It would be easy to show, for instance, just to pick one of hundreds of examples, that at the Plano Conference after General Convention 2003, between 15 and 20% of the Episcopal Church was represented, and perhaps most crucially, the vast majority of the largest churches in this church were represented. And so we're not hearing the truth about what we believe. We're not hearing the truth about our numbers. We're not hearing the truth about our experience of the truth when our experience of this province when the Episcopal Church's narrative is presented to the communion. I was at Nottingham when the team of people who were asked to present the Episcopal Church's case as to why they had done what they had done did what they did. And it was remarkable to be there and to hear this theology articulated, which was never, ever articulated before the General Convention or at the General Convention in those terms. This was theology developed after the fact. And the idea that was given is we've been dialoguing about this for 30 years, and we have this incredibly advanced, incredibly articulate, incredibly sophisticated, incredibly clear theology, and we voted in accordance with this theology as we came to this common discernment. And as one who was present at General Convention 2003, that was not my experience, nor was it the experience of many other Orthodox Episcopalians who were there. So we don't feel like our province is reflected accurately in terms of our experience to the rest of the communion in several of these key settings, and Nottingham would just be one example. And finally, and maybe most importantly, we hear the words reconciliation and inclusion on a regular basis. They're good words. They're gospel words. Jesus is about reconciliation. Jesus was about inclusion. But the reality is that many of us, for a period of a long time in a number of cases, have experienced from the national leadership the opposite of that. I'm thinking of William Cox, just to pick, again, one of many examples, the bishop who happens to be 87 years old. He lives in Oklahoma with his wife, who's 86 years old. She has Alzheimer's. At the request of Henry Arambi, Bishop Cox did a ministerial exercise with a group of people that were out of the Episcopal Church, which he made sure of beforehand. Some of the bishops in the geographical area where this took place got mad at Bishop Cox because this, tried to bring proceedings against him. Bishop Cox, godly, saintly man that he is, said, I'm not going to get involved in any trials or procedures, or I'm not going to testify. I don't want to bring any disgrace or harm to the church. And so he left and joined the Southern Cone. This was his attempt not to hurt the church. I'm quoting him in his words. You have written him a letter in which you have said to him, in his understanding, that he is to renounce his orders or you will bring deposition against him. His wife, who's 86 with Alzheimer's, is terrified by that letter. She lives in fear. I don't find that a reconciling church gesture. They are not experiencing it as inclusion. So I'm just giving 4 examples of this issue of truth and community. We don't recognize the narrative that we're being given. And it's upsetting because true reconciliation comes with truth. Thank you.